On November 19, 2025, that heart thundered to life in East Java, Indonesia, as Mount Semeru, a towering giant known to locals as Mahameru, awakened. For centuries, she slept. For centuries, she whispered in tremors. But on this day, her whisper turned into a roar. Lens opens on a brooding skyline. A silhouette of Mount Semeru dominates the frame. Steep slopes, jagged ridges, crowned by billowing dark smoke. The sky is stained with ash, gray and suffocating, like a living shadow swallowing the mountain. She exhaled hot ash, searing gas, and molten rock. Devastating clouds racing down her flanks at terrifying speed. Over 170 climbers drawn by Her Majesty found themselves trapped in her sudden, savage breath. A distant rumble, then a flash. The mountain's eruption feels like a heartbeat, full of power, full of menace. Earlier that fateful day, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Climbers hiked, guides checked ropes and maps, porters carried supplies. A group of nearly 178 people, climbers, guides, tourism officials, gathered around the serene glacial lake of Ranu Kumbolo, about 6 kilometers from the summit. Ranu Kumbolo lies on the northern slope, away from the most dangerous paths of the volcano. It is peaceful. The wind whispers over the water, reflections of forest in its glassy surface. Hikers rest, laugh, breathe mountain air. The world feels steady, calm. But Earth, as ever, is a trickster. Without warning and without the slightest tremor felt by those below, Semeru broke loose. A low rumble builds, like an engine revving deep underground. It grows into a deafening cascade, thunderous booms cracking rock and the hiss of ash. At around 4 p.m. local time, the giant awoke. A column of ash blasted 2,000 meters above the summit. Pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of rock, gas, and ash poured down her slopes, racing up to 7 kilometers. These were not gentle rivers, they were fiery walls, toxic clouds, rolling nightmares that swallowed everything in their path. Imagine a tsunami made of fire and stone, faster than any human can run, heavier than any wind can carry. Earth metamorphosed into a living beast, its breath scorching, unrelenting. Footage captured by authorities shows a wall of dark ash engulfing a bridge, turning concrete into a ghostly silhouette. The river valley, once green, became a corridor of terror, a blackened artery flowing with volcanic fury. Down below, in the villages skirted by Semeru, ash fell like unnatural snow. Houses were dusted, windows shuttered, people fled in panic. More than 900 residents were evacuated. But perhaps the most haunted moment of the night belonged to the climbers at Ranu Kumbolo. They awoke in half-darkness, the sky heavy with ash. The world around them seemed to shift. Guides shouted, porters scrambled. They gathered what little they could, gear, food, water, as the ash drifted downward, coating their tents, their bodies, their lungs. The mountain did not sleep again. She watched. She waited. Her roars echoed through the valley, her breath rattling trees, her heartbeat shaking the earth. They were stranded, perched at the foothills. It was far enough from her seething core to escape full annihilation, but too close to assume they were safe. Rescue teams, National Search and Rescue Agency, Basarnas, mobilized swiftly. 2 teams from Surabaya and Jember rushed into action, coordinating with national park officials. Storm clouds, ash, slippery trails, nothing would stop them. What would you do if you found yourself trapped, breathing your fears, waiting for help, while the mountain watches your every trembling breath? Mount Semeru, more than rock and magma, was alive that night. She was a cruel sentinel. She exhaled death, but she also whispered warning. She knew people dared her. She knew they admired her. She tolerated them, until she did not. She is a mother and a monster. Her slopes cradle life, her summit kisses the sky. But when her patience fractures, her love turns to havoc. In that moment, the earth was breathing, and every breath was a threat. Rescue teams bridged the gap. Word came the climbers were safe but stranded. Basarnas commanders confirmed plans. 178 people would descend from Ranu Kumbolo to a safer zone toward the Ranu Pani climbing post. Guides, volunteers, national park officials joined hands in a reluctant alliance. Mountaineers and rescuers, survivors and saviors. But the mountain did not relent. Her fury had not yet subsided. Seismic signals continued to spike, indicating the eruption was still active. The alert level remained at level 4, the highest. Every foot of that descent was a gamble. Every breath taken was a challenge. Every moment felt like walking on the edge of a blade. Picture this: a mountain inhaling and exhaling, its lungs vast valleys, its breath scorching ash. Picture a sleeping giant dreaming in magma and waking in fury. The sky turned charcoal, ash fell like cold daggers. The air tasted of brimstone, of fear, of history carved in molten rock. The climbers descended like fleeing phantoms, their silhouettes framed against a dark sky, each step a prayer, each footfall a reminder that Earth can be both cradle and coffin. And yet, even as the rescuers moved in and the climbers began their descent, a question loomed. Will she sleep again? The mountain had demanded respect. She had shown her teeth. But was this the climax? Or just the first act? Seismologists monitored tremors. The alert was still at the fiercest level. The danger zone, once drawn at 8 kilometers, may be expanded. Authorities warned people to stay clear of the Bisuk-Kobokan River, her southern flank, where searing gas had surged. Every helicopter that rose into the ash-laden sky, every foot soldier that ventured near ravines and ridges, every climber that descended, they all walked through the shadow of her heart. Because in the heart of that storm, one truth loomed. Earth is not inert. She is a living story. And tonight, she was telling hers in fire and ash. Back in the villages, families trembled. Schools and mosques became shelters. Nearly 1,000 people evacuated, their homes blanketed in ash, their hearts thick with terror. Some watched in disbelief as Semeru's smoke swallowed the sun, turning afternoon into eerie dusk. One young villager described the moment. It was like midnight, though it was afternoon. Very dark, he said. A house owner later discovered a nearly meter-high spill of volcanic material covering his home. Yet, amid the chaos, humanity showed its strength. Rescue teams, volunteers, guides, and climbers, they did not abandon each other. They stepped forward, braving hot ash, broken trails, and uncertainty. In that crucible, courage and fear converged, and rescue was not just a mission, it was a testament to hope. As darkness fell over Semeru, the mountain seemed to breathe slower, but not quietly. Shadows stretched long across the ash-strewn slopes, flickering in the dim glow of headlamps and flashlights. Every crack of rock underfoot echoed like a gunshot. The climbers began their descent, moving in small groups, tethered together by ropes, hope, and sheer will. The path was treacherous. Ash shifted under every step, like the earth itself trying to pull them down, to reclaim what was hers. Trees, stripped of leaves by the falling ash, stood as silent sentinels, blackened and bent, watching the humans negotiate their survival. Each breath was a struggle. The air burned, thick with sulfur and smoke. Every inhale tasted of fire, every exhale carried fear. And yet, every heartbeat was a rhythm of defiance. To move forward was to challenge the mountain, even as it seemed to smile cruelly at their audacity. Semeru did not allow them to forget her power. A new eruption surged, far smaller than the first, but no less terrifying. A river of molten rock hissed and cracked down a narrow ravine, sending clouds of scalding gas into the night. Climbers froze, shadows cast against the fiery torrent, praying that it would bypass their path. The mountain had become a living story, and they were the unwitting characters in her dark narrative. Every step was a page turned, every glance over the shoulder, a reminder of her presence. Semeru was not just a mountain tonight. She was a predator, stalking those who dared enter her domain. What does it feel like to walk beneath a breathing volcano, knowing that at any moment she could strike again? That question haunted every trembling footfall. The rescue teams worked with tireless precision. Guides who had known the mountain for decades led climbers through hidden trails, slippery slopes, and ash-choked rivers. Volunteers carried injured hikers on makeshift stretchers, their faces streaked with soot. Their hands blistered, yet they moved as if the mountain's fury could be outpaced by human determination. Helicopters hovered in the smoky night, searchlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating glimpses of terrified faces. Every successful evacuation was a small triumph, a flicker of light against Semeru's relentless darkness. Yet, not all moments were victories. The mountain was patient. She waited. For every climber who escaped, the shadow of danger loomed. Another fissure, another surge, another cloud of scalding ash could erase that hard-won progress. And in those moments, the climber's courage became palpable. Fear and resolve intertwined, creating a fragile bond between human resilience and the unforgiving wilderness. They were not just surviving, they were challenging the mountain's will. At one point, they reached the bridge that had been swallowed by the pyroclastic flows. Once a sturdy crossing, it now appeared as a ghostly silhouette beneath layers of black ash. The climbers paused. Some trembled, some whispered prayers. One step wrong, one miscalculation, and the bridge might collapse, taking them with it into the searing, molten river below. The bridge had become a symbol, the fragile line between life and death, hope and despair. Crossing it was a trial, a rite of passage that separated those who would survive the night from those the mountain might claim. And as they crossed, the question loomed. Could any human truly conquer a force older than time itself? By early morning, the full scale of the mountain's fury was visible from above. Smoke plumes rose like monstrous fingers into the sky. Ash blanketed the valleys, and rivers carried debris like veins of dark fire flowing from her heart. The climbers neared the evacuation zone. Rescuers guided them down narrow trails, often using ropes to lower them past sheer drops. Every movement required patience and precision. One misstep could trigger a cascade, sending a hiker sliding into the unknown. Yet, slowly, deliberately, methodically, they descended. The mountain, though still alive and watchful, seemed to pause, as if acknowledging the human defiance unfolding on her slopes. By mid-morning, the majority of climbers reached safety. Exhausted, soot-covered, hearts pounding, they looked back at the towering giant behind them. Semeru loomed like an indifferent deity, her summit shrouded in smoke, her slopes scorched and blackened. And yet, they had survived. Not by conquering her, but by moving in harmony with her will. By respecting the power that could have obliterated them. As the smoke cleared, the devastation became visible. The mountain's slopes were carved by pyroclastic flows, trees flattened, rivers choked with volcanic debris. Villages near her base were blanketed in ash, rooftops buried, streets unrecognizable. The people returned cautiously, wading through gray rivers, brushing ash from doorways, searching for possessions swallowed by Semeru's breath. The landscape was transformed, an alien world born from fire and fury. The climbers, still shaken, reflected on the fragility of life and the awe-inspiring force of nature. Semeru had reminded them that Earth is not a passive stage for human drama. She is an active participant, a living force capable of both creation and destruction. If the story of Mount Semeru's fury left you breathless, hit like to support our journey into Earth's most powerful forces. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification so you won't miss our next thrilling expedition into nature's rawest, most awe-inspiring events. Share this video with someone who loves adventure, survival, and stories of human courage in the face of unstoppable forces.